Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert here, and today we're going over Unit 4, Notes 3. So we're actually going to be talking about factoring by grouping again, but this time we're going to go a little bit more in depth and do some more complicated problems. So let's start by taking a look at number 1. Okay, so this is basically what we did yesterday. We made our two groups, so then we're going to ask ourselves what divides 2 and 5. Well, nothing divides 2 and 5, but I can take an x out of each term. So I'm going to go ahead and divide each term by an x. So 2x squared divided by x to the first. Well, I'm going to subtract those exponents, so that's just going to give me 2x. And then 5x divided by x, well, my x's are going to cancel, and then I'm just left with 5. Here I have 8 and 20. So what divides 8 and 20? Well, that's going to be 4. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to divide each of these factors then by 4. Okay, so then 8 divided by 4 is 2, and then x, and then 20 divided by 4 is 5. Okay, so then I notice that these are matching, so I can go ahead and write those out as one factor. And then for my other factor, I'm going to write what's on the outside, or my greatest common factor. So that's going to be x plus 4. So that right there is my final answer for number 1. Now let's take a look at number 2. So for number 2, what we're going to do again is create our two groups. So between 10 and 5, I can take out a 5. And then x squared and x, you can take out an x. So I'm dividing each of these terms then by 5x. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and then x squared divided by x is just x. So then 5x divided by 5x is just 1. Remember, it's not 0. It's going to cancel out to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and write that there. So then I have 12x plus 6. Well, between 12 and 6, I can take out a 6. So I'm dividing each of these terms then by 6. So 12 divided by 6 is 2, and then I'm going to have an x. And then 6 divided by 6 is going to give me 1. So these are my leftovers right here. So I have 2x plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and then I took those out for factoring. And then on the outsides, that's going to be my other factor, which is 5x plus 6. So that right there is my final answer for number 2. So now let's take a look at number 3. So the biggest thing to know is that this is also going to work for higher degrees. So let's go ahead and take a look at this first one. So really it's going to be the same thing that we've just been doing. Between 12 and 6, we can take out a 6. But then between x cubed and x squared, we can actually take out an x squared. So I'm dividing each of those terms by 6x squared. Well, 12 divided by 6 is 2. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. And then 6 divided by 6 is 1, and x squared divided by x squared is 1. So that's going to be a 1. And then 14x and 7, I can only take out a 7. I'm not taking out any x's because there aren't x's in both terms. So 14 divided by 7 is 2, and then the x is going to stay there. And then 7 divided by 7 is 1. Remember that that's 1, not 0 when they cancel out. So here I have 2x plus 1 and 2x plus 1. So I can go ahead and factor those out. And then once I've factored those out, what I'm going to do is 6x squared plus 7. So those are what's on the outside. Okay, so now these are my two factors. Okay, and again, remember if they're flip-flopped, that's okay. It means the same thing. So now let's take a look at number 4. Before I start factoring this, I notice that 16, 128, 2, and 16 are all divisible by 2. So before I even start factoring, I'm going to take out a greatest common factor of 2. Whoops. Whoa. That's not what I wanted. Undo. There we go. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. Okay, so now when I do that, I'm going to end up getting 2 on the outside, and then I have 8x cubed minus 128 divided by 2 is going to give me 64x squared, and then plus x minus 8, okay? So I call this right here, that 2, I call it my little sister, okay? You go to the mall, you need to have your little sister with you, but you can just ignore her. But when you leave the mall, you need to make sure you have your little sister with you. So right now, we're just going to ignore our little sister. And we're just going to focus on factoring by grouping with just what's in here. Apparently my computer or my iPad really wants to make boxes today. So between 8 and 64, I can take out an 8. Between x cubed and x squared, you can take out an 8x squared. So then 8 divided by 8 is 1, and x cubed divided by x squared is just x. And then negative 64 divided by 8 is negative 8, and then x squared divided by x squared is going to cancel out. Between x minus 8, you can't take anything out. So what I do is I just write a 1 as a placeholder, and then I'm left with x minus 8. So my leftovers are matching, so I can go ahead and take x minus 8 out. And then I'm going to take what's on the outside, which is 8x squared plus 1. That's going to be my other factor. Now, before I'm completely done, I can't forget about my little sister. So both of those parentheses, I'm going to put a 2 on the outside because I took a 2 out at the beginning. I need to remember to make sure I have that 2 at the very end of the problem. So let's take a look at number 5. So for number 5, 12x cubed minus 21x squared plus 28x minus 49, none of those have a greatest common factor, so I can just jump right into factoring by grouping. Between 12 and 21, I can take out a 3, and I can take out an x squared. So I'm dividing each term by 3x squared. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. Negative 21 divided by 3 is 7, and x squared over x squared is going to cancel out. Then 28 and 49, I can take out a 7. 28 divided by 7 is going to give me 4, and then we're going to have an x. 49 divided by 7 is negative 7. Whoa! That did not work. Okay, so now my leftovers are matching, so I can write that as one of my parentheses, that 4x minus 7. Then my other parenthesis, which is 3x squared plus 7, that's going to be what my other one is, so 3x squared plus 7. So that right there is my final answer for number 5. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 6, just to give myself a little more space here. So then, taking a look at number 6, first of all, there's nothing that divides 12, 2, 30, and 5. So I can just jump right into factoring by grouping. So between 12 and 2, I can take out a 2, and I can also take out an x squared. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. X cubed divided by x squared is just x. And then here, 2 divided by 2 is 2, or is 1, sorry. X squared divided by x squared is 1. So then I'm just left with 1 there. Now I notice that I have a negative at the start of this group, which remember means you need to take a negative greatest common factor out. So between 30 and 5, I can take out a negative 5. So I'm dividing each of those by a negative 5, which is going to change the signs. Negative 30 divided by negative 5 is a positive 6, and then we have our x. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is a positive 1. So then I have 6x plus 1 as one of my parentheses. The other parenthesis is going to be what's on the outside, which is 2x squared minus 5. So then that right there is my final answer for number 6. Just a couple more. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 7. No greatest common factor on this one. Nothing divides 6, 16, 21, and 56. Remember, if we take out a greatest common factor, it has to be able to divide everything. So 6 and 16, you can take out a 2. X cubed and x squared, you can take out an x squared. So then we're dividing each of those by 2x squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then x. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8, and then we have a 2. Or, sorry, negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8. X squared over x squared cancels. So I'm going to have a positive greatest common factor here. So then I need to figure out what divides 21 and 56. Well, that is actually going to be 7. So 21x divided by 7 is going to give me 3x. Negative 56 divided by 7 is going to give me a negative 8. So here, my leftovers are matching. Now, if they weren't matching, that means we made a mistake, okay? Because they always should be matching. So we have 2x squared plus 7x. Or not plus 7x, plus 7. So that right there is your final answer for number 7. So taking a look at number 8, what I notice is that 12, 36, 15, and 45 are all divisible by 3. So I'm going to start this off by taking out a greatest common factor of 3. So 12 divided by 3 is going to give me 4x cubed. Whoops. And then negative 36 divided by 3 is going to give me a negative 12x squared. 15 divided by 3 is a negative 5x. And 45 divided by 3 is going to give me 15. So now that 3 is my little sister, and I can ignore it till the very end of the problem. So now I'm going to factor by grouping. Between 4x cubed and negative 12x to the squared. I don't know why I wrote a 5 there. Okay, you can take out a 4. And then I can also take out x squared. So 4x cubed divided by x squared is going to give me just x. And then negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. And my x's cancel out. Well, here I have a negative 5x, so I'm taking out a negative greatest common factor. Between 5 and 15, I can take out a 5. So I'm dividing everything by negative 5. So negative 5x divided by negative 5 is x. 15 divided by negative 5 is a 3. So x minus 3 are our leftovers. So I can go ahead and pull those out. Once I've done that, I'm going to write what's on the outside, or those greatest common factors. Those are going to go into the other parenthesis. Last but not least, I can't forget about my little sister, my greatest common factor. So that needs to come down to the end of my problem. So that right there is your answer on number 8. Now, let's take a look at number 9. So first of all, there's no greatest common factor. So we can go ahead and just jump right into factoring by grouping. So when we do that, I'm going to make my two groups. Between 49 and 35, I can take out a 7. Between x to the 4th and x cubed, I can take out x cubed. So 49 divided by 7 is 7. X to the 4th divided by x to the 3rd is just x. Negative 35 divided by 7 is just 5, and your x to the 3rds are going to cancel. 56 and 40, what divides both of those is going to be 8. So 56 divided by 8 is going to be 7, and then x. Negative 40 divided by 8 is going to be a negative 5. So here, my leftovers are matching, so I can go ahead and factor those out. And then, once I've gotten rid of that, I have 7, whoa, that was kind of cool. I have 7x cubed plus 8. So that's what's going to go in my other parenthesis, 7x cubed plus 8. So that right there is my final answer once I've factored by grouping. So taking a look at number 10, again, no greatest common factor, so we're just going to jump right into factoring. Between 12 and 3, I can take out a 3, and I can also take out an x cubed. Okay, so 12 divided by 3 is going to give me 4. X cubed divided by, x to the 4, divided by x cubed is just x. 3x squared, or x cubed divided by 3x cubed is just 1. Now, between 28x and 7, I can take out a 7. And then I'm left with 28 divided by 7, which is 4, and then I have my x, and then 7 over 7, which is just 1. So here are my leftovers. So I have 4x plus 1, and then on the outside, 3x to the 3rd plus 7. And that's my final answer for number 10, and that concludes your note video. Thank you for listening.